The northern part of the province of Saskatchewan is host to the world's highest grade uranium deposits.
This is Jay Martin.
In today's episode, we discuss the significance of Canada's Athabasca Basin in the global uranium market. I'm joined by Fission Uranium CEO Ross McElroy. Enjoy. All right, here I am with Ross McElroy. Ross, it's great to have you back on the show. Ross is the president, COO, and chief geologist at Fission Uranium Corp. It's great to see you again.
Good to be with you here, Jay.
So, there's a ton of stuff I want to talk to you about today. Uranium has been super hot. Fission's been super hot. Recently putting a ton of new cash in the till. I want to begin though, Ross, because we've seen a ton of new subscribers come to my channel and come to the industry on the heels of a 4-month really hot uranium market. And so there's a lot of new money and new eyeballs on this sector. You've been in this business for, 4 decades or so, won multiple awards for exploration success recognized by, the Mining Journal, Northern Miner, PDAC, et cetera, for your work as a geologist. Can you speak to, let's start with the significance of the Athabasca Basin. I feel like that's a great place for most uranium investors to understand. So that's where you're located. Talk to me about the significance of this location and why every company touts this if they're there.
Yeah, sure. Maybe as a highlight bullet, I think people can think of the Athabasca Basin as being sort of the equivalent of Saudi Arabia to the oil markets. What's the Athabasca Basin, located in the middle of Canada, basically the northern part of the province of Saskatchewan, is host to the world's highest grade uranium deposits. They're very, very large, but I think what the real key is that they're high grade, and what grade always means is much superior economics. Canada and Saskatchewan in particular, has for decades been, a major supplier of uranium to the world market, the nuclear fuel market. We currently, I think the Athabasca Basin produces around, anywhere between 12 to almost 15% of the global supply, the annual global supply of uranium fuel. So that's the area that we find ourselves in. They've been mining uranium there since the 1950s, and it's been uninterrupted ever since. And I think it's a pretty fair statement to make that the Athabasca Basin is going to continue to be there, in a top position for decades and decades and decades to come. The discoveries are still being made in that part of the world. You're in probably the best jurisdiction worldwide. It's a first world country, first world mining practices, the highest grade deposits, and a government, no matter which side gets voted in, there's always support for the resource sector in the province of Saskatchewan. And that's why Saskatchewan's, generally rated in the top 3 or 4 mining investment jurisdictions in the world, has been for a long time. And I think that the path is continuing. That's where we find ourselves with our PLS project in the Athabasca Basin. Similar to other deposits, very high grade. We've got a large deposit, and that's a real quick overview. But you just can't overstate the importance of the Athabasca Basin. Geopolitically safe environment and top jurisdiction.
And there's a hub. There's a hive of exploration activity occurring up there, and as you mentioned, lots of discoveries probably still to be made. If you were to speculate how much of the potential of the Athabasca Basin has been tapped thus far, what would you say to that, Ross?
Well, I would say, look, if you just think of the last, 60 to almost 70 years of development and mining in the basin, has predominantly been on the eastern side of the basin. That's where Cameco have a very large land package. They operate 2 mines there currently, the McArthur River and Cigar Lake mines. And there's still discoveries being made even to this day. So even though that is a mature part of the basin, there still are some significant discoveries being made today. And that's, you find the likes of Denison, their Wheeler River project, ISO Energy, with the hurricane zone. So, that still is an area that's delivering some significant goods. I would say where we're located in the western side of the basin is a very underexplored part of the basin. Really, the biggest mine of any significance was the historic Clough Lake mine that was operated by Orano. And I think that closed operations back in the year 2000. So it's been over 20 years. But where we are in the southwest side, Fission was the first company that made a significant discovery in the southwest side of the basin, followed on the heels by NextGen on their with the Arrow deposit discovery just a short time after we made our discovery. And that is really where I think the new emerging mining district in the Athabasca Basin is really starting to look like the southwest side with our project with NextGen's coming in the near-term production. It will be the new mining center of the Athabasca Basin. So maybe, just to answer your question shortly, there are still major discoveries yet to be found. And in the southwest side of the basin, that is definitely the new emerging mining district in the Athabasca Basin.
I was going to ask you why you felt the West Athabasca had been neglected relative to the East. And maybe the answer is as simple as, well, Cigar Lake attracted a ton of attention to the East. And now that's pivoting on the heels of your discovery, on the heels of Arrow at NextGen, et cetera. And exploration will follow the deposits as it tends to do.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. The eastern side of the basin has been where, as I said, where Cameco has their major footprint, and they've always been the biggest player in the business, and still are. But they were comfortable on the eastern side. The opportunities were out there. In our case, about what was it, 2008, 2010, when we started putting together our land package in the southwest side of the basin. As a junior, you're looking for different opportunities. You can't beat the majors at their game and hope to get a land package in and amongst where they already dominate a position. So you have to have new ideas, new ways to go about looking, and that was the opportunity that we saw, and we were very successful. Having found our near surface Triple R deposit just outside of the basin margin proper in the the whole western side of the basin, which had been completely ignored by the majors, and there was some opportunities. And now, of course, you're finding the same size and world-class deposits as we have on the eastern side being found out in the west, and a host of companies that are exploring in that area because they are also quite aware of the fact that this is going to be the new mining center of the basin. So
Fission is not a company that is chasing the hot money and the hot market. Uranium is now quite hot, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs doing that, right? As you just mentioned, you were assembling your land package in 2008, 2010. So walk me through the Fission story today. Assume we're speaking to prospective shareholders who are absolutely brand new, top down. Ross, what is Fission Uranium?
Sure. Well, yeah, you're right. We've been around for a while. My career as a uranium geologist, I've been looking in the Athabasca Basin, since the mid 1980s, having, cut my teeth with the likes of Cameco early on, and also the French state utility Orano. I guess, what we were, our history dates back to, as I said, we started assembling a land package or getting a concept to explore in about 2008. We made a discovery in the fall of 2012, and that was, where we first intersected drill results in our near-surface uranium high-grade deposit, which we refer to as a Triple R deposit. It's in basement rock. What that means is it's just outside of the Athabasca Basin proper, and where the basement rocks come right up to surface. So there are a lot of advantages to being in basement rock as opposed to finding a deposit at your traditional unconformity unconformity type deposit within the Athabasca Basin. I'd say the basement rock, it's just technically it's a lot less risk. They're the much more competent rock. You don't have the same water conditions that you might in a typical unconformity uranium deposits within the basin, and that allows us, being a very large, high grade, near surface basement hosted deposit, with a low technical risk development. It will promises for this to be one of the lowest cost operating mines in the world. And I think that's what really is going to be an advantage to these high grade basement deposits, is that we can mine them for a lot less money than your typical Saskatchewan Athabasca type deposit. So we'll be extremely competitive on the operations cost side. Our feasibility study pegs us to be a sub $10 a pound US OPEX. With all-in sustaining costs, we're looking at still under $14 US a pound. So basically anything above that, you're in the profit side of the equation. And, currently with uranium trading, it's been doing quite well, currently trading in the high 80s, about $87, $88 a pound. Recently, just a couple months ago, we were over $100 uranium. So there's incredible profit margins available to a project such as ours.
So you just put $75 million in the till, bringing the cash balance up to, I think, around 140. You're very cashed up. And I always joke, it's not so much a joke though, that the most scarce resource in junior mining isn't the rocks, it's the cash, right? And companies that can put cash in the till are the ones you should pay attention to. Walk me through the plan for that capital. Existing shareholders are going to want to know, prospective shareholders should want to know, where's that cash going, Ross?
Sure. So as I mentioned, Jay, we are a development company. So what that means is, we're taking our outline deposit and moving it forward through the process, the regulatory processes, the permitting, the relationships with our northern communities. So over the next 2 years, all these things come into play, and of course the advanced engineering side. So really the $140 plus million that we have in the treasury enables us to get us all the way through all the phases of development. So the presently on the project side, we're in the front end engineering design, transitioning to detailed engineering, which is basically producing drawings for what it is that we'll be building. And on the permitting side, we've just submitted our EIS to the province of Saskatchewan. So we're looking for provincial and federal approval over the next couple of years. And all that money is really geared towards being able to take this project to the finish line of development and beyond. So we're well funded for the next 2 to 3 years of all of our activities. That gets us really up to the point of construction up at PLS. Not only that, we've now engaged our exploration team to giving them some money and the capital in order to make what we think the new discoveries on the PLS. I think that is a reality, that this is such a prospective piece of ground that we have. It's been a number of years since we really put any emphasis on exploration at all, having been focused in the last 7 or 8 years on the development side of the equation. Now it's in this uranium market and the property. We want to continue exploration efforts, and with the capital that we have in the bank now, we've been able to hire a full development team, a full exploration team, give them all the capital that's required to go forward. So I think you're going to see Fission just continue to advance on all fronts and be well funded for all of our activities over the next few years.
So fully funded through all stages of development and permitting, roughly that's a 2-year process to get PLS as it currently exists to the finish line. First question for you, can you define the finish line for my audience, Ross? And then I've got some questions about your winter exploration program, which you just wrapped up, and obviously what's next. But what's the finish line for you at Fission?
Yeah, so the finish line being the development side of the equation. So that means that with our engineers, that they will complete all phases of engineering up to the point of build. So all the detailed engineering, that'll take about a year and a half, I guess, towards the end of 2025 when that's complete, and then they'll be in a position there to start building. So what's happening, simultaneous at the same time is all the pathways forward on the permitting side. The province, well, we submitted our EIS to the province of Saskatchewan about a month ago. We expect that the province will be able to turn around approval on this project in Q3 of this year, 2024. And also on the federal side, because all uranium projects in Canada that intend to be a mining operation also have to go through the federal approval process with the CNSC. That's a longer process than with the provincial side, but we would expect to have those approvals in place towards the end of 25. That allows early stage construction to begin in, say, 2026, with a big push of construction in 27 and producing asset, operating mine, bringing uranium out of the ground, processing the ore by 2029. So there's, that gives you a little bit of a picture for what's ahead of us over the next, 4 to 5 years, I guess, just going outward.
Care to speculate, down that journey, thoughts on the uranium M&A market right now, Ross? Do you think you're going to, let's say everything goes to plan, get approval from the province, from the federal government, do you see yourself walking it to that 2029 finish, or do you think the market's going to be hungry enough for new deposits, meaning the miners will be hungry enough for new deposits that they'll be come shopping?
Well, a bit of both, I suppose, Jay. I think what we do control is the ability to move this project forward, and we're gearing ourselves up to be a uranium miner. So it's really all about putting a team together, and I think that we've done a great deal of that. In 2023, we've assembled all the key components of our development team. All the engineering positions of mine engineers, permitting expertise, people that can help us with the, building our northern relationships with the communities and the Indigenous First Nations and Métis groups in the area. So we're, sort of moving forward on all fronts with that exploration. So, I don't know. I think that. We're on the right pathway here towards getting this project into being a producing asset. Sorry what was the other part of your question in there, Jim?
No, I didn't ask you yet, but the second part is, I want to walk through the exploration program. I know you guys just wrapped up your winter exploration, so share some highlights with me, significance of those, and then what's in the future.
Sure. Well, we made our discovery on the PLS project back in 2012, and really, put a lot of focus over the next several years, 2013 to say 2017, focused on the Triple R deposit, expanding it, delineating it to now being a 130 million pound plus high grade ore deposit. So one of the largest ever discovered in the Athabasca Basin. But we also have a very large land package. We have over 31,000 hectares of area that we've really not explored. And it hasn't undergone, decades in history of exploration. As I was mentioning earlier, on the eastern side, most of the ground's already been picked over. There's still discoveries to be found. But, this is a very new area that has really not undergone much exploration efforts. With our early discovery and focus around the deposit, really that's been the key for what we've done over the last 10 plus years. But we now understand just the significance of the Patterson Lake corridor. This is the big geologic corridor that hosts our deposit, hosts NextGen's deposit, is hosting some other showings further along trend. we have a great deal of that corridor on our PLS property. And, this winter we just began our exploration along that corridor to make what we think, further high-grade discoveries on the PLS corridor. We completed our winter program just a couple weeks ago. We were very encouraged with the results we've seen so far, where we have all the telltale signs of further mineralization out there, and really the whole exploration technique in this part of the world is to vector yourself in. You try to find encouraging areas with hydrothermal alteration that have all the telltale signs of mineralization. So it allows you to now have a follow-up program that'll focus drill holes into these more prospective parts of the corridor that we've already outlined with this winter drilling. And, that's the pathway to discovery. It's, so I think we've got some excellent targets. We're, 4 of these target areas that we focused on, 4 out of 6, came back showing to be very prospective and areas that we do want to follow up with drilling, and we'll likely be able to do that sometime this summer. So, it's going to be a busy year for Fission, both on the development side, as we've covered, but also on the exploration front as well. So, I think two sides of that coin will be, full play throughout 2024, taking advantage of the strong uranium market that we're in and our, dominant cash position that we have in the treasury.
Well, yeah, you've got the cash to do it. I think you have taken advantage of the strong uranium market, filling up the till when it was opportune. And so to look forward to, right, more exploration programs launching this summer. So news flow to look forward to on that front. You won't have to go back to the market to fund those operations. And then on the Triple R deposit side, looking for provincial and federal approval on your permitting process. Provincial Q3 2024, federal takes a bit longer, end of 2025, putting you further down that stepped out process towards the end goal of production in 2029, right? And what happens? Yeah. Okay. Lots of good stuff in here, Ross. Congratulations, first of all, on filling the till. I always focus on that, and I think that more investors should focus on companies' cash positions and their ability to raise more capital, because it is the most important resource in this business, without question.
Yeah, you can't do much without cash. There's no question about it, and you have to be, pretty. You have to have a good plan in place on how to spend it and properly, execute your programs in place. But no, we're very, very pleased with the capital that we've had and been able to, build a very loyal shareholder base. We continue to, get strength on both our institutional and retail shareholders, and we'll continue to do so and can get the story out. You're right. There's going to be an awful lot of news flow this year for the company. So, I think, and uranium is the best performing commodity out there. And I think 2024 will continue to show that uranium is the place for investors to be paying attention to. And then it's really about trying to find the companies that you think can, take advantage of their situation and have top tier projects with management and team that can execute and deliver, and that's what Fission is all about.
Yeah, exactly, and companies that have been pushing the boulder up the hill for the previous decade. Not just right now. All right, look, Ross, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming back on the show, getting a Fission update in front of myself and in front of my audience. I'd love to do it again. As we move further down this timeline, maybe mid or after the summer exploration program, be good to get an update at that point. Thanks again so much for joining me.
Thank you, Jay. It's been a pleasure.
All right.